was hit down. So that is one reason I had ride only Jawa motorcycles.
The Jawa story began just after the First World War, when František Janíček, Jawa's spirited creator, bought the motorcycle division of German manufacturer Wanderer. Combining their names, Jawa was born. The company would go on to become one of the leading motorcycle manufacturers in the world, and by the mid-30s was exporting to over 100 countries. Jawas quickly developed a reputation for being rugged, simple, and unbreakable.
And I bought this vehicle for 1900 rupees on 11th of November 1971. So it is already 47 years with me. I am using this vehicle from that time. When it starts, it goes on, just you drive it. You get tired, but the vehicle will never get tired.
Jawa also took the motocross and racing world by storm. Riders on Jawa motorcycles finished in first place 8 times during the 6-day trials, the world's oldest off-road motorcycle event, and secured 6 motocross world titles. At the time, brothers Rustum Irani and Farooq Irani had been working as country agents of Jawa, importing the motorcycles to Mumbai from the Czech Republic. When the Indian government banned the import of motorcycles, they had to find another way to allow the people of India to continue their relationship with the Jawa brand. At around the same time, the Jawa brand caught the eye of motorcycle enthusiast Maharaja Buyar of Mysore, who insisted the factory be built in Mysore. Maharaja and the brothers opened the factory's doors in 1961. Jawa pride radiated throughout India and onto the racing circuit. Top talent and biking legends like Thirumal Roy, Faribros Irani, C.K. Chinnappa and Sominder Singh rode Jawa to victories in races and rallies around the country. Jawa had a profound effect in India. It became a symbol of footloose fun, of daredevil adventurers, of the freedom of the open road. And Bollywood took notice quickly. Jawa began popping up in films driven by Bollywood stars like Amitabh Bachchan, Farooq Sheikh, and Rajinikanth. The unstoppable reputation isn't limited to the racecourse. Although the factory closed in the 90s, the vibrant Jawa community have kept the story alive.
My uncle was known in Baikala, Clare Road for his Jawa, and Uncle John's Jawa was the thing. And even today, like all my dad's age people who have known Uncle John and his Jawa, like, "Arey, you have his Jawa, like, you know, and it's still running, you still kept it." I said, yeah. So it's very nostalgic for them because they remember their younger days as well, apart from me.
They're really very simple machines. Simple to ride, simple to read. And that is probably why they've been so relevant all these years.
vehicle is so good. People, when you stop anywhere on road, people come close to you and ask you about the vehicle. How is this vehicle? How old it is? And how you can start it? Is there any trouble? People like that vehicle.
I don't want to think twice. It's going to be pretty, it's going to be reliable, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
I found it so easy. It had an amazing handling, and with her climbing up the guards, it was just effortless.
It was it had its identity. Like you knew a Java and then the other bikes. So I guess that is what people associate a lot of memories with certain aspects of their life and times in their life with the Java. Plus the fact that these things don't really give up as long as you keep them running.
The RTO people become mad. They say that this is older than my age. I am just 30. This is 60 years old. So can you give me for drink? And they took the drive and they liked the vehicle.
In my days, people fell in love with the Jawa motorcycle. It was not just riding from point A to point B. It was an emotional feeling. And that emotional attachment was always there between me and Jawa and my silver motorcycle, Jawa motorcycle.
You guys can hear me? All right, firstly, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Sorry for my bad throat, we haven't slept for a few days. But thank you very much. I know you've traveled far and wide. Some of you have left other very interesting places and come here to be with us. So I thank you for that. There is so much to say, there is so much to tell, and I'm sure there is going to be enough opportunity. But you saw the time capsule. Now let me take you to a new time capsule of how this journey started. And I think for that, the best guy to start with probably is Anand. Anand, you want to take us to that lunch or wherever you want?
Once upon a time. This is my once upon a time moment. The once upon a time began some years ago, a few years ago, when I asked Anupam to join me for lunch. And there's a little story about why I asked him to join me for lunch to talk about bikes. I first met him in '97, when, believe it or not, he was an investment banker. He's the funkiest looking investment banker I've ever met.
I've paid my dues.
He had the chutiya even then, and he was actually an analyst of our tractor business. But he was the most incisive analyst, and what I used to love about him was, after our analyst meetings, he'd come up and tell me everything that we were doing wrong. The only guy who had the chutzpah to do that. So we built up a strong friendship over that. Whenever I wanted the truth, whenever I wanted no bullshit, I'd call Anupam. And then I remember him telling me one day he moved to, was it Singapore or Hong Kong? No, Singapore, with the Hong Kong bank, you moved?
I was in the Wall Street, then Singapore.
Yeah, so he was wandering around doing the Wall Street thing, and I was following his career. Then he suddenly said, I'm going to Chennai. And that seemed like a big difference. And I asked him why, and he said he was going to help revive Royal Enfield. So I kept that in mind. Here was this guy who was giving up everything, growing his hair even longer at that time. So I knew he was a hardcore biker. And so a couple of years ago, I called him for this infamous lunch that he talked about, and I said, look, what should Mahendra be doing? Where should we be going? And he gave a one-word answer. He said, Java. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I knew of Java, of course. I'm that vintage. And I remember then coming back on a plane once. We were flying back from Delhi. Pavan Goenka, my colleague, was with me. We were coming back from some auto show. And we gave John Abraham a ride, the actor. And I knew John was a biker. So John was sitting next to me, and I said, John, I'm thinking of looking at Java, Yazdi. What do you know about that brand? So John, at his theatrical best, paused and he said, "It's like this. The Enfield is like your skin. Java, it's in your blood, yaar. It's in your blood." I think we can write books about Harvard Business Review methods of when you get an epiphany to start a business. That's the moment I knew we were going to do this. So I went back, and that's my story to start with.
No. I want you to go back. This is how it started. But then we needed Java.
So, interesting anecdote too. How did I know Java? I was in Lawrence School in Uti, or Loudale as it was called. Loudale, not Lovedale, Loudale. And guess who was the biggest cat in Lovedale? It was not me. Mahendra was a very unknown brand at that time. It was a girl called Motoroids Irani. She was nice looking too, but his cousin. Motoroids, everyone on the campus wanted to know because she came from the ideal Java family. And if you wanted to go to the factory and see the Java bike, you had to get to know Motoroids. So then I started looking around and said, how do I find Motoroids? I didn't know where this family was. I called up a girl who was in our advertising agency, Shireen Kama, who was head girl of Lawrence, a year junior to me. And I said, Shireen, where's Motoroids? Where is the family? And she led me to Baman. I said, Baman, the real estate guy. And so I told Anupam.
I remember that.
Anupam went there, and I'll let you describe the encounter with...
No, I'll take it from there, right?
Let me talk.
Nahi, I'll tell you what happened, right? So Anand calls up, right? And when you get a call from Anand Mahendra, you expect that, there's going to be serious conversation.
Your script is gone.
Yeah. So he goes and he says, hey, I'm sending Anupam across to meet up with you. So I said, great, sure. So we give a time, he calls me up. He walks into my office. Now Anand has called me up. You expect someone with a nice jacket, tie, etc. to walk in. And then, he comes in a little kurti. Like Anand said, he had his hair flowing at that point in time. Comes in a little kurti, there's a mala around his neck. And then we are chatting. And in 15 minutes, after doing all the niceties, he comes down to, listen, this is what I want to do. And I said, ye banda, theek hai yaar, ye to chal jayegi. I said, listen, whatever journey you're on, I'm in. Let's go ahead in this together. And from there, I must tell you all guys that, it's truly a blessing for me personally. Anand, you should know, and Anupam does know that. First, I was born into the Java family, right? I could almost write before I could run. And then from there, I get the opportunity to do this once again with these two lovely gentlemen out here. And it's really a fantastic feeling. And somewhere up there in heaven, Anand, my father will be smiling and saying that my son did me good, and for me that's an amazingly emotional ride. And I must tell you that for me it's all about the gut, right? It's all about go with the flow. It's all about seeing the person, knowing what they want to do, and then I kind of Googled Anupam, and then I find this lovely saying. Some call me crazy, others call me for advice. I said, which part is it that I want to associate with? So I saw the crazy part, just to tell you that. So well, that was how this entire journey started off as far as, coming together was. And then we went across and met up with this lovely gentleman called Gurle. And somewhere on the back of Gurle's table, Gurle is the Java chairman brand in Czech. And somewhere in the back of Gurle's table, I see a nice little photograph. And the conversation's going on. And I say, he says, who are you? I say, you see that photograph at the back right there? That's my father. And then, that's it. The kind of, ice broke and we were all like happy together. And the rest, as they say, is history. Guys, I'm truly happy. This is the rebirth of one of the most rugged, simple, easy, yet beautiful journeys. And I can tell you this, as a young man, I used to ride, and it was never the destination. It always used to be the journey, just the wind in your face, and just keep riding all day. And I used to go from Mysore to Uti to Bangalore, back to Mysore, and I'd do it like 7 days in a row. So hey, looking forward to the ride, Anupam.
Perfect. Sorry, bad throat again, but so let me. So I think you use the word gut. I've been using the word paranoia, serendipity, destiny across, and I'm not kidding you. This whole project, this whole journey, has come about in a way which is very difficult to script it, right? So when they told me yes, 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 everything is done, for me gut is also very important. But at the same time, as he rightly said, I'm an analyst. I need to do my stuff. So I, on myself, constituted research. Let me figure it out. I know I'm crazy. I have my Java stories. It's not as beautiful as theirs, so I won't tell you right now. Maybe we'll get another time. But I loved Java when I was a kid. I made bikes when I was young. I worked in a bike company. I've traveled around the world, and now I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, trying to turn around Java. So it's in my mind. It's in my heart. But am I the only one, or is somebody else around there too? So I did a research, and I know that the most important real estate in the world is the human mind. And all I wanted to figure out is Java is there. Then we'll figure out how to get it out. Then we'll figure out the right way to do it. So we considered a big research. But let me tell you, in about 8 days or 9 days, some 16, 17 clinics across demographics, across psychographics, it just came back to me and said, all the researchers came back to me and said, boom, what are you wasting our time? Everybody knows, everybody wants it. I was like, okay, so that part is also done. So I keep on saying we got 3 brains. I got one here, and then the third one, right, which is your gut. And once that says yes, I think you know that that's the only nod of approval you ever need. So for me, it was done. But that was not it. I needed a team. I needed people who have the same kind of feeling about these things. So I needed my general. And what I did was I picked up my phone, started calling all the guys who I thought were great, trying to figure out who's available, who's going to do my engine, who's going to do my styling, just putting those broad 30,000 feet sketches into play. And I called this guy who used to work with me in my earlier avatar. He was my head of exports, and I knew he understood motorcycles. And post that, he went ahead and became the managing director of Triumph India. I called him and I said, hey, Ashish, can you introduce me to, remember that guy Marky, remember that guy Alex, remember that guy this? I've just lost touch, just introduce me. And he said, what are you going to do? And I told him, this is what I'm going to do. And this guy says, okay, of course I'll introduce you, but you haven't asked me, do I want to join? And I was like, dude, we are a startup, it is still boozy, and you stay in London, you got a family, I know your daughter is in class 10th. This has to be, startup means roll up your sleeve, get down there, make it with all your heart and passion. So he says, but I will shift. So I said, okay. But I can't pay you, Triumph MD, this is a different league. But I never asked you for salary. I was like, this is a crazy guy, man. This is like pouring it. So at this stage, I would like you to see this guy who gave up everything. Please give me a big hand for Ashish to come up. Ashish! I've spoken enough. You want to say hello to everybody?
Hi everybody. It's great to be here. Anupam, thank you. What am I going to say? When Anupam called me, I still remember that very vividly. And how do you turn down, or how do you say yes or not say yes to a person that you worked with before, whose ability and whose leadership you trust? And many of you may not know, but I've worked with him before. I know who was responsible for the turnaround where we worked together. So when he talked to me about that, I said, yes, of course, love to be. Hey, the family lives in London, but London is an 8-hour flight away. We will manage. And from there we started off, and as soon as he told me that he was in, I was in. But when he spoke to me about Anand and Baman, I was doubly and triply sure. And I'm most thankful to you gentlemen to have had that trust and faith, and having given me the opportunity not only to revive a brand, but also to create a company from scratch. That's where we are today.
Ashish, Anupam, shall we show them what this is made of? What we're here for today? Are you guys ready? Owen! All right, 1.
Is it back? Are the stories true? Does it fly? Have you seen it? Is it classic? Is it now? Will they turn? Will they talk? Will they stalk? Can it handle this? Can it handle me? Listen. Shh. What's that sound? Is that me?
Would you want to chair?
Now you're doing all.
One more picture on I also want one picture of you guys. That's a good thing. That'd be good, man.
You've seen the bikes, but do you know what they're called? Anupam, why don't you do the naming, sir?
I think naming is always difficult, and I'm sure you guys can imagine what we went through. But does anybody know what was the first ever Java which was made? What was it called? Anybody? I know there are historians here. Adil. Do you know what was the first Java called? Anyone? Here? Anyone? Okay. The first Java was called Java. There was no name, no prefix, no suffix. So we are naming this homage to that beautiful bike, that first bike, Java, as Java. Yeah. Java. I know some of you are going to ask me, okay, Java, which one? It's just Java. Which Java? It's just Java. So this is your Java. The second one, I think this was more difficult. This was pushing the edge a little bit. I was always in that zone, right? When you're going to design a bike, and I've told this before, where do you start? Where will that bike be? Where it stop? Or where it should have been if your company did not stop? Right? So I needed to make a bike that pushed the edge, that proverbial box, get out of it, a little nuanced, edgier, and that was this. And we named it 42. So this is Java, still a Java. So Java and Java 42. Now you will ask, and I want you guys to find the answer to 42. What is 42? So that's the second.
The answer to life.
The answer to life, universe, and everything. Thank you. So this is 42. And the third one, this is a factory custom. These bikes were made very customized. You can actually customize them the way you want. We wanted to leave the golden proportions, there are the triangles, but we actually wanted all our buyers to tell us stories, express themselves. So we as a factory, we as a team have expressed ourselves. So this is the first factory custom in the country. It is a bobber. It will be available a little later, but it's called Perak. And again, there is a beautiful story. There is a beautiful the Czechoslovakia story of Perak, the resistance time. This is the nicest to understand way it was built. So we are building the same way. So here we are, we present you these three bikes, Java, Java 42, and Perak. I also want to give you a lot of people have been asking, and I'm sorry I didn't reply individually, and I didn't reply to both because you know this. As I said, people were coming out of woodworks, really coming out of woodworks to help us, right from the system, from Mahindras, from outside, from designers. So I'll tell you stories about my designers. There's a presentation to make, and there'll be a story. But the engine, the next thing was the engine, and I really need to get the engine right. So there was this guy in Italy, Maki. I'll tell you about Maki. Maki, you're there somewhere? Maki's right there. There you go, Maki. Maki has got 51 world titles under him. Maki has worked for MV Agusta. Maki has worked for Aprilia. Maki has worked for Kojima. He has got 23 engine platforms under his name. And he's very nuanceical about taking projects. And Maki comes back and says, oh, I want to do this. And so it's exactly the same thing. So we got the bike slide, we got Maki, our designers. We got a great designer in India called Ash. Then there is this guy. So he's third generation of motorcycling engineer. His father started Italjet. Most of you would know what Italjet is. And He is attached to his family. He designed the motorcycles. His wife, and again serendipity. He calls me, I want to do this, and you're very happy. Oh, Alex calls me. Alex, you're here somewhere also, right? Alessandro. Hi. So Alex designed the bikes. His wife is a Slovak. Her father used to work in Java. Now, I don't know how these stories just gather around. You find a designer whose wife is Slovak work in Java, you find an Italian guy who's loving Java and done so many engine platforms. So this is what it is, guys. I mean, we've kept it simple, we've kept it beautiful, we really worked hard, and the result is these two bikes. And now I'm going to leave it to Ashish to take you through the tech presentation, which will tell you actually the heart of the bike. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Guys, can we roll the presentation? Alright, so we've heard about Java, we saw that film. What was Java? What would it stand for? We've seen the motorcycles as well. I'm going to give you a little bit of very little history in terms of what Java was, what Java meant to people in India. So Java was all about retro, but simple, rugged, unbreakable, and winning races with stock motorcycles. They were the 6 times champions of the International 6-day trials, for example. Motocross was another one, and doing all of that with stock machines in the 1950s, 60s. We're going to talk a little bit more from here on. This is what the motorcycle looks like in terms of different pictures. What is it? It's an icon. The design that you're seeing here is a design which was loved, it went away, and is now reborn today. This is our homage to the most popular Java motorcycle ever. So the Java that you see here is just that. What is the character of these machines? It's classic yet sporty. Why did we start with this design philosophy? We started with this design philosophy purely because we wanted to go back into that period where the journey was more important than the destination. And that is what the Java does for you. Having spoken a little bit about Java, let me come back to the 42. Now, Anupam just told you what the 42 meant. 42 meant pushing that design envelope a little bit further. 42 was edgier. We wanted the 42 to be more relevant in today's times. So what did we do? One, it has a different seating position, different handle, different handling. It's also got colors and hues which, to my mind, are a little bit different. They're a little bit more subtle, yet in your face as well. So there's that little bit that you're playing with around there. Again, a few more things. What is it? Why is it? There's a word that you see on the screen which is quirky. It has a few distinctive quirks in there. It has a few distinctive design elements. The offset speedometer, for example, is one of those. So that is a bar and mirrors that you see. And bar and mirrors which you can actually turn upside down as well as you see on the car. So that is essentially what we wanted to do in terms of creating a motorcycle which was born from the same ethos, from the same value system, but yet was different in terms of its outlook. So there you have Java 42. Okay, we're talking about these two motorcycles as our design philosophy. This is the one is a pure classic, the other one is the fantasy of a classic. It's what you would expect a classic to be, but yet have all the modern touches. So that is, gentlemen, ladies, this is the Java and the Java 42. I'm going to get into a little bit of a technical spec. I'm not going to bore you for very long, but yes, we're going to cover a little bit of what is necessary. All Javas, when they were built in the 50s, 60s, there was 3-4 things which stood out. Rideability, handling, nimbleness. All words very easy to say, but very difficult to express as a motorcycle. What did we do? We started from there. We said we are not going to lose that character. The machine, even though it may have all modern tech, has to have that nimbleness, that stability, that handling, that maneuverability. And that is what we started with design. We've worked a lot on the vehicle geometry, and the motorcyclists among you, I'm sure are not going to be disappointed. It handles beautifully, it runs, it takes what we can throw at it. We wanted to stay within the boundaries of the classic form, yet give it that modern touch, yet give it that modernity which is needed, and build a sportiness, a certain sportiness that Jawa was always known for. So there we have this vehicle. We'll just talk a little bit more about the geometry part. You're seeing the geometric triangles, you're seeing the difference between the two. The ergonomic triangle is very important. Most of you will know that, but how it is different in the two is just being highlighted on the screen now. One thing I wanted to talk a little bit more about was in terms of braking. Now braking is, you all know, is a function of the brakes. Yes, of course it is. But it's also a function of the frame. It's also a function of the weight distribution. It's also a function and when I mean weight distribution, I mean front axle weights, rear axle weights, and it's all the not technical jargon that I can talk to you about. But hey, let's not go there. The whole idea was that the machine should brake well, and which is what we've achieved with the braking setup that we put on it. Stability, which is with the frame. The nimbleness, again, maneuverability coming in from the front axle weight, the rear axle weight, the weight distribution of the machine. So all of that. We've spoken about a little bit about the machines. Now let's talk a little bit about the engine piece. And before we do that, I would like to welcome Untitled Chapter. You heard about Untitled from Untitled. And accompanying Untitled on the stage is the engine team head for Classic Legends, Happy Patel. Welcome, Untitled. Alright. Untitled, I know you had a very difficult task. Guys, can you get a mic across for Untitled, please? There you go. Untitled, as you signed up for this, you have, to my mind, the most difficult task. What do you think that was?
First, apologize for my English, but I try to explain the good answer. For my life, I design many engines, more than 23. Just say that racing engine, production engine. Normally the people ask me to increase the power, more RPM, like 14,000, 50,000. When we started to speak about the brand Jawa, Ashish explained to me the philosophy, new philosophy of the brand. And he asked me to work around the top, in the bottom, very high top in the bottom. Good feeling for the rider. And also the special noise. Special noise means the good sound. Good sound, different sound. We work a lot about the thermodynamic engine, like a cylinder head, export port, but maybe after you can earn after that, I think now we are very close to starting production. I love this engine. I think it is one my favorite engine I designed. I think I would like to say thank you also to the Indian team, technical operator with you for a long time. I am very happy to stay in the class. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilio. That was useful. Andy, tell me about the most interesting problems you had to solve. Because Amelia just defined what was expected. Now, what was your challenge in that?
Yes, first of all, we wanted to make a classic writing. We not only wanted to write like a classic one, but also look like a classic one and bringing back old Java looks in particular. We have built in some of the features which I mentioned, like it has integrated cooling systems in the head with dual subjective exhaust ports. It has future-ready connected cathode box, which are a few technical ones. I will not go into details. But these are some of the.
All right. Good to hear that. Ladies and gentlemen, please note the engines are BS6 ready, as we have said before as well. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Just rolling forward with this, we will talk. We spoke about the motorcycle. We're just going to look at the technical specs. I'm not going to read those out. I think you will all understand these are motorcycle tech specs. What does it do? What dimensions? One critical thing I'd like to point out: the seat height, 765 millimeters, one of the lowest in class in category. That makes the bike much more handleable, maneuverable. Moving on from here, we want to talk a little bit about the design elements on the motorcycle. We're going to talk about the lovely two exhausts that Jawa is known for, the signature exhausts. To do justice to the icon of yesteryears is not an easy task, and which is where I absolutely understand what Ampilio Maki and what Nancy Patel was saying. They were engineering an engine which was supposed to look old, but was absolutely slam bang on. Okay, we've seen these machines. Now let's quickly have a chat with the guys who actually did it. I'm going to call upon Alessandro Tattarelli. And accompanying Alessandro is the design head for Classic Legends, Tash Kable.
Hello to everybody.